We're constantly told that in business, bigger is always better. More gross, more employees, more revenue, right? But what if that's just not true? Today, we're diving into Paul Jarvis's book, Company of One, and it completely flips that idea on its head. It argues that staying small might just be the smartest move you can make for your business and for your life. And this quote from the author himself, man, it just gets right to the heart of it all. This isn't just some abstract business theory. Nope. This came from a place of total burnout. Jarvis was a super successful consultant, but he found himself completely overwhelmed by the pressure to keep scaling up, to build something he didn't even want. So, what do you do when you hit that wall, when you've just had enough? Well, for Jarvis, the answer was pretty radical. He decided to escape, not just from a business model, but from an entire way of living. This wasn't just taking a break. This was hitting the reset button hard. I mean, just look at this journey. Picture it. You're at the top of your game in busy downtown Vancouver. You've got clients like Microsoft and Mercedes-Benz, but the constant noise, the pressure, it's just too much. So you sell almost everything you own, pack what's left into a van, and move to a tiny remote island town, a place so out there it's where they filmed that survival show Alone. And it was in that quiet, that simplicity that he finally got this incredible clarity. He realized that resisting growth wasn't a failure, it was actually his secret weapon all along. So, this huge personal shift led him to define a whole new business philosophy, one he'd kind of been living without even having a name for it. He called it a company of one. Now, here's the most important thing to get. A company of one isn't about a business that failed to grow. It's about a business that chooses not to grow in the usual ways. It's a very deliberate decision to be better instead of just bigger. It's all about focusing on things like your own freedom, doing meaningful work, and building something that can last. Okay, so I know what you're thinking, because it's the first thing that pops into everyone's head, right? If you're staying small, you're just a freelancer, trading your hours for money. But that's actually a huge misconception, and the book tackles it right away. And this is where you can see the real difference. A freelancer's income is chained to their time. If they're not working, they're not earning. Simple as that. A company of one, on the other hand, is all about building systems and assets, things like software or online courses that make money separate from the hours you put in. You can serve more customers without having to hire more people or add more stress to your life. And let's get a few things straight about what this is not. It is not anti-profit, it's just anti-blind growth, growing for the sake of growing. And, surprise, it doesn't even have to be a literal one-person show. It can be a small, lean, focused team. And this mindset works for anyone, whether you're a writer, a consultant, or even a caramel maker. It's not just for tech bros. So to make this work, it takes more than a different business plan. It requires a really profound shift in how you think. You have to step away from that constant, nagging desire for more and instead embrace a really powerful idea, the concept of enough. There's this amazing story in the book that perfectly explains this. Jarvis is out surfing one morning and his friend, who's an accountant, says this to him. And get this, it was August. This guy had figured out exactly how much money he needed to make for the entire year to cover all his costs and investments. As soon as he hit that magic number, his enough number, he just stopped working. He took the rest of the year off to do what he loved. He knew that growing his firm would just mean his enough number would get bigger and his free time would get smaller. And really, that's the big question the book poses to all of us. What would change for you? How would your life look if your goal wasn't just endless accumulation, but reaching a point where you have enough? Enough to be free, enough to have control over your own time. It totally reframes what we think of as ambition. Let's break this down. The traditional more mindset, it solves problems by just throwing resources at them. More people, more money, more complexity. The enough mindset of a company of one, it looks for smarter, leaner, more efficient solutions. Success isn't measured by how many employees you have. It's measured by your freedom and how well your business can handle the unexpected. Okay, so the philosophy sounds fantastic, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Well, the good news is the book is packed with real, actionable advice. So here are the big steps. First, just like that accountant, you have to define your enough number. Call it your minimum viable profit. Second, and this is huge, don't build something and then go looking for customers. Instead, build an audience that trusts you first and then create what they need. Third, stop chasing new customers all the time and focus on making your existing ones incredibly happy. And finally, use your size as a superpower. Be faster, more personal, and more adaptable than any huge company could ever hope to be. These 4 traits are basically the DNA of this approach. It's all about building a business that can weather any storm. That's resilience. One that gives you control over your life. That's autonomy. One that can move and pivot quickly. That's speed. And one that avoids getting bogged down in useless complexity. That's simplicity. When you start putting all these pieces into motion, what you're really doing is much bigger than just running a business. You're throwing out that old, tired definition of success, and you're creating your very own. So if we boil it all down, here are the key takeaways. Deciding to question growth isn't a sign of failure, it's a brilliant strategy. Aiming for enough can give you way more freedom than forever chasing more. You don't need to be complicated to be profitable. And maybe the most important one of all, your business is supposed to serve your life, not the other way around. I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? For so many of us, our lives get twisted and bent to fit the shape of our business. The Company of One philosophy flips that completely. You start with the life you actually want to live, and then you design a business that makes that life possible. And that's really the thought I want to leave you with today. In a world that is absolutely obsessed with scaling up, this book offers a radical, refreshing alternative. What if real success isn't about how big you can get? What if it's about being incredibly good at the size that's just right for you? It's definitely a question we're thinking about.